Hi, everyone. This is Mia. Welcome back to the Weekly English Podcast. And this is your peaceful space to slow down and practice English. Recently, I've been thinking a lot about a feeling that I think many people experience at some point. Sometimes, when I look at other people's lives, I feel like everyone else is living a more interesting life than I am. Maybe they are traveling. Maybe they are always meeting friends. Maybe they seem confident, busy, successful, or full of exciting experiences. And when I pause and look at my own life, it can feel repetitive, even lonely at times. Have you ever felt that way too? So if you're feeling the same way, stay with me. Instead of avoiding or ignoring these feelings, we're going to face them together. I'd like to share some helpful ways to deal with them. The first thing that really stayed in my mind was this. We are comparing our full life to other people's highlight moments. Think about social media for a second. People usually share the exciting parts of life: vacations, achievements, happy moments, beautiful cafes, parties, new relationships, or personal success. But they usually do not share their loneliness, anxiety, boredom, confusion, or self-doubt. So when we compare ourselves to them, the comparison is already unfair. We are seeing their edited moments, while we are living inside our complete reality. And of course, our real life will always feel less dramatic than someone else's highlights. Another part I found interesting was this idea. An interesting life is not always a fulfilled life. Sometimes we confuse those two things. A life can look exciting from the outside, but still feel empty inside. And at the same time, a quiet life can still be meaningful, peaceful, and emotionally rich. I think modern life makes us feel pressure to always look exciting, like we should constantly be doing something impressive. But meaning is not always loud. Maybe some of the most important periods in life actually look very ordinary from the outside. And lately, I've been thinking about this a lot myself. Right now, I am focusing a lot on something new. It's still in an early stage, and honestly, I do not know yet whether it will develop the way I hope. But because of this, I have reduced many other activities in my life. I travel less, I meet friends less often, I spend much more time working on this uncertain goal. And sometimes I feel conflicted about it, because on one hand, this was my own choice. I chose to focus on it. But on the other hand, sometimes I also feel isolated. Sometimes I wonder, is this really worth all this energy if I still do not know whether it will work? Maybe some of you are also in a similar stage right now. Maybe you're building something quietly, a career, a business, a creative project, a new skill, or even a new version of yourself. And maybe from the outside, your life does not seem very exciting at the moment. But inside, you are actually fighting a very important battle. This phase actually has a name, the messy middle. The phase where effort is high, feedback is low, and doubt becomes very loud. I think this is where many people give up. Not because they are weak, and not because their dream is wrong, but because uncertainty is emotionally exhausting. And honestly, I think that is very human. Sometimes we imagine that passionate people always feel motivated and confident, but real commitment actually feels uncertain sometimes. Real growth often feels invisible while it is happening. Another important thing is, maybe we should ask ourselves what we truly want underneath the comparison. Because sometimes we envy the symbol, not the real feeling. For example, maybe we envy someone's travels, but what we actually want is freedom. Maybe we envy someone's social life, but what we really want is connection. Maybe we envy success, but deep down, we simply want reassurance that our life matters too. I think this question is very important. What is the feeling underneath my envy? Because once we understand that, we can search for it in our own way. not by copying someone else's life. I also learned something else recently. Isolation and solitude are not exactly the same thing. Sometimes when we focus deeply on something important, we naturally become more alone for a while. That does not automatically mean we are failing socially. It may simply mean we are concentrating our energy somewhere else. But at the same time, human beings still need connection, even small connections. A short coffee with a friend, a walk together, a simple message. Not to escape from our goals, but to emotionally recharge ourselves. I think balance is not always 50-50. Sometimes balance simply means remembering we are still human while chasing something meaningful. And maybe the most comforting thought for me was this. Your current chapter does not define your whole life. A quiet period is not a meaningless period. A slow season is not a failed season. Sometimes life grows underground for a long time before anything becomes visible. And honestly, many people who later say, "That period changed my life," also admit that during the process, they felt lonely, uncertain, and full of doubt. So if you have been feeling lately that everyone else has a more interesting life than you, maybe pause for a moment before believing that thought completely. Maybe your life is not boring. Maybe your life is simply in a quieter chapter right now. Maybe you are building something internally that other people cannot see yet, and that still matters. Thank you for spending time with me today. If this episode connected with you in some way, I hope it reminded you that you are not alone in this feeling. And maybe next time you compare your life to someone else's, you can remember, you are seeing a moment, not the whole story. Take care, and I'll talk to you again soon.